Good morning, one and all, and welcome back to Chappy Corner. Here we are, our Advent series that I'm making up in my basement just for fun. So a couple of things today. When we're talking about Christmas and we're talking about the birth of Christ, the birth of love, we're talking about healing our image of God. I think to really understand why this is such an incredible, amazing, beautiful, beyond all that is measurable event in history, and a continual event that happens every single day. And it is this. So very human. So this original program of the birth of Christ is of just pure love and reaching out to the needy and breaking any of this idea of a tribal consciousness way of thinking where my tribe is better than your tribe and you have to be like my tribe if you want to be anything, and I could never ever be like your tribe. Like that's sort of this thought process where Jesus had been born into, which unfortunately we haven't come too far, sadly enough. And so this original program of what Jesus taught in the beginning of the disciples was this immeasurable love that took over all of their everything, of their being, and they preached that, and it scared the people that were in power, because they were saying, hey man, it ain't about that, it's nothing, your power is actually nothing, you need to include all of these other people that you're pointing fingers at. And unfortunately we kind of ended up getting back to that once Christianity became the main religion, and all of a sudden it didn't become about God's love anymore. It became about a club, or it became about making sure that people believed these rules and had to do with these things. It became very, very human and less about God. Not always, don't get me wrong, not always. The church has done many, many amazing, beautiful, incredible things, and some super duper crappy, awful things. Definitely. So here's what I want to say. We can get this idea of Jesus coming kind of as a transaction, like you did this, now God had to do this, and I don't think that's the truth. I really, really don't. I think that I'm roaring with Richie. I'm with Richard Roar. I'm with Richie. Hear me roar when he says Jesus didn't come to change God's mind about us. Jesus came to change our mind about God. So in today's reading, there's Jesus as talking about how up to this point there was violence in heaven, or violence, people trying to get towards heaven by being violent, by having any anger. And Jesus says, up to this day, no more. That is not God. That is human. There is no wrath in God. There is no hate in God. What is in God is pure and perfect love, head over heels for God's creation. And so this, to really be made anew, is what Jesus is coming. So not to change God's mind about us, but for us to change God's mind about our mind about God. So how much does God love us? How much will God not have wrath against us? It doesn't end. How much does God love us? Meaning that even our anger towards Jesus saying, hey, include everybody, our fear and anger towards this idea of expansion and inclusion got us to the point of killing Jesus. So how much does God love us? Did God come back wrathful against these people that were killing him? No. From the cross, from the most painful, shameful way to die, Jesus says, forgive them. So that you want a new way of being? There it is. This new way of being has nothing to do with hate, has nothing to do with get those guys. It has everything to do with the birth of complete and perfect love and inclusion of everybody. And knowing that, you know what, you already belong in the heart of God, and it has nothing to do with being any part of any club. And so this Advent season, may we think about where is it that I can be made anew and really try to heal my image of God, knowing that God has nothing to do with wrath and nothing to do with separation, God is everything to do with inclusion, everything to do with love. And so when we're celebrating the birth of Christ, we're celebrating this birth of truth and life within our world. That isn't just 2,000 years ago, but every single day, where God took on humanity and says, I love everything about you. There is nothing to be ashamed of. Everything about you is love. And so the body, thoughts, feelings, all of these things, when approached with love and not approached with fear or anger, just can be complete beautiful and opportunities of connection. So there you have it. There's your Advent thought for the day. Peace and blessings, one and all. May we change our minds about God and see God as pure love. Mwah.